When you talk to natives, and especially when you are listening to natives speak, it is highly likely that you won't understand everything that they've said. And you will probably want to ask them to repeat something so you can try to understand. Unfortunately, many students feel embarrassed because they're saying the same sentence over and over again. Can you repeat that? Sorry, can you repeat that? Please, can you repeat that? So the first alternative way of saying, sorry, can you repeat that? Or sorry, I don't understand, is the most natural native way. It is just one word. It's sorry, sorry. This is what we are most likely to say if we can't hear or can't understand what someone is saying. Make sure you focus on the intonation. We want to go sorry, down, up, sorry. That way we are showing the listener that it is a question. We are showing doubt. This is also a word that you can add onto lots of the other phrases which are going to follow. But it's a really nice, quick one. And because it's so short, you don't feel like you are repeating yourself as much if you have to say it over and over again. Next, we have a slightly more formal one. It is, excuse me, excuse me. Now, I don't like this one as much as I like sorry. This is because sometimes, if said with the wrong tone of voice and the wrong intonation, it can make it sound like you're slightly offended. If somebody says something offensive to me, I would say, excuse me, but I'll definitely show with my body language that I'm offended. If I can't understand what someone's saying, I would say, excuse me, and maybe shake my head to show that I'm having trouble following what they're saying. Another one, which is even more formal, and this isn't even the most formal one yet. The most formal one is coming after this one. This is pardon, and this is quite a posh word. Not everyone will consider it to be posh, but in general, I think it is more of a posh word. I remember being taught this word by my grandmother as a little girl. Instead of saying what, I had to say pardon. And then the most posh of all of them, the poshest, is I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Now, you have to be careful with the intonation of this one because, again, it can be used to show offence. If somebody says something offensive, I could say, I beg your pardon. It's often used in a jovial sense, kind of in a sarcastic way, maybe to respond to an accidental innuendo or something like that. If we want to use it to ask for repetition, you've got to say it like this. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, really showing with your body language and that upward intonation at the end that you are asking a question, a genuine question. If we're showing offence, we're likely to push our body back. I beg your pardon. Now, back to neither informal nor formal. These are just normal phrases you can say. You could say, what was that? What was that? This is much nicer than just what. Even better, you can follow it with sorry. What was that, sorry? What was that, sorry? You could also say, what did you say? What did you say? Or, what did you say, sorry? What did you say, sorry? It feels strange to repeat them over and over again, but really the intonation makes it so clear. What did you say, sorry? 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 Now, what if we want to be just really, really clear? We could just put it out there. You could just say, I don't understand. Could you say that again, please? Or, I don't understand. Please, could you say that again? It doesn't really matter where you put the please, as long as you say please. I always like to put please first, because then the person knows from the very beginning that I've said please. Please, could you say that again? In my household growing up, pleases and thank yous were incredibly important, overly important, and it scarred me for life. I just can't not say please or thank you. Now, if you want someone to repeat something that they have only just said very recently, and you want to interrupt them, stop them there and say, I want that exact sentence repeated again, then you can use the word just. For example, sorry, what did you just say? What did you just say? And note that I'm not saying what did you just say, I'm saying what did you just say? Just. What did you just say? What did you just say? That's real connected speech there. Or what did you just say? I'm missing out the t sound between just and say. I'm saying just say instead of just say. Just a little pronunciation tip for you there. Or an alternative version, what did you say just then? What did you say just then? Again, I'm not including the t after just. I'm saying just then, just then. Now, if you didn't understand everything that someone said, but you did understand parts of it, then you could say, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I didn't quite catch that. And the quite is implying that you understood some of it, you caught some of it, but you didn't catch all of it. And catch here is used to mean to hear and understand. It's a slang use of catch. I didn't catch what you just said. I didn't understand or hear what you just said. An alternative for this is, sorry, I didn't quite get that. I didn't quite get that. And both of these could imply that it's not because you didn't understand what they said, it could be that you didn't hear what they said. And if you can't hear what somebody is saying, then you could say something like, would you mind speaking up a bit? Would you mind speaking up a bit? This is a nicer way of saying, please could you speak more loudly, or please could you speak less quietly. To speak up is to increase the volume of one's voice. Now, if you want to make it clear that it's not anything to do with volume, it really is that you're just not understanding. You're understanding little bits, but you're not managing to understand complete sentences. You could say, sorry, I'm not following what you're saying. I'm not following what you're saying. Or an alternative, wait a second, I'm a bit lost. Wait a second, I'm a bit lost. And both of these imply that you would like the person to slow down. If you're struggling to follow or you're getting lost, it could make the speaker think that they are speaking too quickly and implying that they need to slow down without you having to ask them to slow down. If you do want to be clear about it, or they don't understand you when you're trying to imply that they're going too quickly, you could say, would you mind slowing down a bit? I'm struggling to follow. I'm struggling to follow. Now, if there is a specific word or phrase that you don't understand, but you understand everything else, but you want to ask a specific question about a specific word or phrase, then you could point it out and say something like, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by word or phrase. Or you could simplify it and say, I'm not sure what you mean by word or phrase. It's a bit of a funny preposition, so make sure you learn it properly. To mean by. I'm not sure what you mean by pigeon. There we are, I've mentioned pigeon again. Just squeeze it into every video. Now, one annoying thing about asking for repetition is that you constantly feel that you're interrupting someone. But I think it's okay to interrupt as long as you apologise for interrupting. And you can say something as simple as, I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you mind repeating blah, blah, blah. Another alternative, if you're with friends, you can use a slang phrasal verb, which is to butt in, to butt in. I'm sorry to butt in, but. I'm sorry to butt in again. I'm sorry to interrupt again. Those two are really, really useful if you feel that you're constantly stopping someone to ask them what they mean. Now, let's have a look at 4 idioms or slang phrases that we can use to say that we don't understand someone or to ask them to repeat something or make themselves more clear. A really fun one is, this is all Greek to me. This is all Greek to me. This is all a foreign language to me. That would be a really funny one to use if you are actually Greek. This basically means this is all impossible for me to understand. Another one is, that was as clear as mud. That was as clear as mud. Now this, be careful with it. Just use it with friends and people that you like to have a joke with, because you're basically saying that what they have just said was very unclear. And obviously a teacher or a professor or someone you don't know that well is not going to appreciate such a sarcastic remark. So if someone has been trying to explain something but they've been doing a very bad job of it, then you can say, well, that was as clear as mud. If you want to say that something was far too complicated for you, you can say, that went right over my head. That went right over my head. It didn't go into my head, it went over like this. I didn't understand or process any of it. And the last one, I think This is fairly British, but if there are any Americans watching, please do let me know. It is, what are you on about? What are you on about? And this means, what are you talking about? But the phrase to go on about something implies that somebody is talking too much. To go on about something is to talk excessively about something. So when you say, what are you on about? It means, what are you talking about? You've been talking for ages. Again, another one to use just with friends, people you have mutual trust with and maybe share a sense of humour with. Not professors, not teachers, not your boss.